Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer, and I think we both still smell like airplane.
I think we smell a mixture of airplane, lounge cigarettes, and that's casino trash. This is the skating lesson. This is our 2019 Skate America recap. So if you are new, please subscribe below and smash that like button for all the tea we're about to spill. So, Jonathan, you got to Las Vegas a little bit earlier than I did. You got there on Tuesday.
Did some pool time, saw the Liberace Museum, wanted to get out that kind of stuff beforehand.
Okay, I got there on Thursday. You were at the Mirage, and then you stayed at the Orleans Hotel, right?
Which was the official hotel, which oftentimes, as you know, when you travel to these things, that's just the easiest place. Mm-hmm. Centrally located, it's right by the arena. I mean, this one was a little divey, but it was at least easy to get to the arena. But it was more fun to be on the Strip, obviously.
Yeah, I haven't stayed at the host hotel the last couple events I went to, just because it can be a lot. Just that energy of the event it's a lot to just. It
was less obvious a little bit in Vegas because of the casino vibe. So sometimes when you go to these live competitions and there's the hotel bar that seemingly everyone is at, or you see everyone at the same restaurant, it was sort of more spread out and dispersed here because there were so many places to go. And yeah.
So I stayed at Caesars, and it was nice to be away from like the skating crazy and to just kind of have vacation when we were not around. So anyway,
Dave, I meant to tell you, I was at the pool at the Orleans with a little woman named Atiri.
Shut up. I got a text about this. I heard that she was in her bikini and that she and her daughter had rocking six-pack abs going on.
Oh yeah, they were literally next to me on Sunday, and they look good.
I heard that it's like really impressive. Who had the better body?
They were showcased in different ways. But they were both pretty kicking.
Did she make eye contact with you?
Just vaguely. I don't think she has any idea who I am. And I tried not to stare because I don't want anyone staring at me in a pool situation either.
That was like I think it was during the exhibition. Someone had texted me, but I was watching a mutual friend of ours be gambling thousands of dollars, and I was like, whoa.
I know. It's not something I'm into. Are you into that?
You mean doing it or watching it?
Either.
Oh, watching it was interesting. I enjoy an experience. So.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh, it was a lot. So.
All right.
It was just mind blowing the amount of money that we were talking that was going on the table. I just like to check in, count the chips in my head, do a rolling tally, and experience that. So.
Right. And think about how much I could buy with that. Just give it to me right now. Yeah.
But gambling myself, no. But I did see a Terry on the night after the event because the Uber pickup line was where the exit for the athletes were. And Terry was a bigger star than Shcherbakova. I don't think Shcherbakova was outside for too long, but the Russian crowd was there to see Terry. She was the Madonna of the event. So I think there are people that say, why does everyone talk about her so much? Because she's the fascinating personality. These girls are pawns, and she is.
But she's the everything. Brand. 100%.
Everything.
Yeah.
She has freshly Botoxed, lips freshly done.
Filler.
Yeah, she looked great. The face didn't really move, but she was resembling Joy, I think, after the event. She looked relieved. She was in a glittery cross, like the good Catholic girl that she is. I know, good Russian Orthodox Catholic girl. Okay. And someone had a dog there, and she was petting the dog to show humanity. It was like a small golden retriever. It was very performative. She was looking at us as she pet the dog.
On the campaign trail, holding a baby. Yeah,
it totally. Was amazing. Okay. We saw a shot of Danny G. He had these Dolce & Gabbana pants on. Terry
looked good.
Yeah. Terry looked great. So anyway, let's start. I guess we can start with the ladies because to me that was the best competition here. It was the only one where I felt a little bit of suspense. So just overall impressions of the ladies event, Jonathan. First, this arena, I wanted to say, it's in it's actually called an arena, but it reminds me of more of a convention center at a hotel, even though it's technically an arena. So there's only seating on 3 sides, and the way, I guess, the press is set up downstairs for them to have rooms to have press conferences and things like that, what they need backstage in the arena. The Kiss and Cry was on one of the only sides that had a crowd, but the other side had nothing, and it was just a wall. And I found that would be really strange because half of the exciting jumping passes are taking place on that, and there's nothing behind them. There's no crowd reacting. So it was kind of a strange energy and not a huge crowd to begin with.
Yeah. So. Actually, I think the Skate America, the first one I ever attended, which was in '95, the Michelle Zalame one, I think that was the same kind of setup in Detroit back in the day. Okay. I think that there was a flat wall on the one side, or even at Munich Worlds where they have all the flags covering the seating in there. And it has got to feel so weird to perform on like a thrust arena. Like it does seem strange because the programs are pretty well balanced to hit neat moments in each part of the ice surface. So one hopes, but it had to feel strange because even some people would turn and bow to the wall.
Yeah.
Because they were used to their 4 directions of bowing.
Yeah, I found it a strange energy. Not the greatest crowd for Vegas, although not the worst crowd I've ever seen. I would have it in Vegas again. I enjoyed coming. I think they should do a nationals there or in arena. There was a lot of stuff to see, and it brought a lot of people that we met had flown out for the event. So it brought...
Yeah, a lot of people, because of its location, a lot of people were bringing spouses that might not normally or something. And again, the amount of hotels, and it's nice to be in the warm weather. So if they did have a nationals there, that would be quite ideal instead of a Detroit, which was very...
It gets cool at night. We saw Absinthe last night. And
you did? Was it so good? Everyone loves it.
It was good. It was fun. I thought the comedians were a little, not the most original. But the acts were fun. The music was fun. The overall vibe was great. But it was like an outdoor tent. It was kind of cool at night. It was a little...
And chilling. We saw
We did see
and I loved it with your friend in it. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it.
So I know Bill May, the synchronized swimmer, who's been in O since 15 or 16 years now, and we saw that. I thought that was the most incredible Cirque du Soleil show I've ever seen. There's just so much going on in the staging and everything like it. There's no way to really describe it unless you can see it, and there aren't a lot of videos of it online. So it's just fantastic. We were front row, Jonathan. There was mist getting on me. I got splashed with water at times, I was at SeaWorld seeing Shamu. I mean, I was in heaven. Okay, I was really living my best Cirque du Soleil life. I got some ornament to put up in my house that Jonathan thinks is tacky, but I think it's fabulous.
I did not.
You really did. You had a judgmental face on, Jonathan.
I did. That's just my face, Dave. I didn't think it was terrible.
I don't think you were feeling the Vegas vibe, okay? About the flash and trash.
In general, Vegas was a bit like a suburban mall exploded. So there, all the restaurants, with the exception of that amazing restaurant we did go to, was it was a lot of chain restaurants, a lot of kind of mall stores, that kind of vibe. I'd never been, so I didn't know what to expect.
Well, we went so one of our patrons took us out to a lovely dinner that I'm not sophisticated enough to take part in. And
amazing.
If you've ever gone to it was a tasting menu where as they put the food down, they're explaining to you in an accent you can't understand, all the words. And they're and then you're eating this and this is over it and blah, 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 blah. And I was just Not a clue. Not a clue.
I know, especially when they say it that way, and it's just show me, maybe write it out or something.
But I went to the Gordon Ramsay restaurant and had the beef Wellington.
It was so good, right?
I think I'm just lowbrow and loved it compared to...
It was completely delicious. It was completely delicious. That was my friend's...
I understood everything on the menu. They didn't have to explain to me. And it didn't have 4 people weren't bringing out my meal to pour one sauce on it like I was on Downton Abbey.
Well, when it's a fancy meal like that, I think you're going for the show and the presentation of it. Whereas we went to just have conversation with people and they didn't like that. We weren't supposed to go to talk to each other. We were there supposed to be an audience to the food or something.
I don't know. I was raised on the ground round, basically, essentially. Popcorn on the floor.
Remember the ground round and the Betty Boop cartoons. Okay.
Well, let's discuss, because there was a lot to be seen in this ladies' event. This is going to have to be a show of honesty, Jonathan. There were a lot of things here.
And I think so much I love when I can finally go see something live, because it really helps steer me one direction or another in a lot of instances. So how do you want to take it? You want to take impressions of the short, or do you want to go skater by skater?
Let's go skater by skater. Because
I think that's wise.
Can we start with Karen Chen?
Who? I'm just kidding. I know.
So I feel like we always knew that this day was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Karen has had a rocky road. You know what it is that the commenters have gotten so like upset by things, like we have some real
orchids.
Yeah. So Karen not always hasn't had the steadiest career, and what Nathan Chen is doing is an anomaly, right? The fact that he is able to balance Yale with that, so much of that is his own, like the fact that he's Mozart, basically, of the ice, in many respects. The fact that he and Hanyu can, really train themselves is very unique. Obviously, he's maintaining a lot, and he is meeting with Ralph and has this unusual schedule. But I think we're going to see, as these other skaters try to go to college and do this, that it's very, very difficult. And Karen was someone who struggled
didn't have that baseline to begin with. I mean, because Nathan started at a level and then transferred his training.
She's in no danger of being a virtuoso, although a very gifted skater, and in some respects I thought that she was the most musical in parts of her performance when we saw her live,
still had, out of the entire event, some of the most beautiful spins.
She has the nicest classic layback and the nicest classic spiral. And what's interesting to me is that the audience still likes it. There's something about that skating, and I know that sometimes we've talked about it, and the newer fans that didn't live for that, why are you talking about these old elements? No one cares. It's moving on, we're moving forward. Well, there's something about those classic elements. You see them live, the audience goes absolutely wild for that quality of a spiral. I mean, she got more cheers than she did when she was getting pity applause, when she fell and did a split on the ice. So, it was impressive in that way, but I mean, first of all,
it's interesting. She still has the height. It's interesting. She started at Philadelphia and came out like gangbusters. Like, this might really actually be a comeback. Okay, or at least much more of a comeback than any of the other supposed comebacks we've been experiencing. Hers included, where she just failed, and you thought, okay, she's actually been doing this. And then the next senior B, it regressed a little bit. Here it regressed even more. It doesn't seem to be growing. It seems to be doing a bit the opposite. But I was curious to see in person what that looked like. And she still had speed. And she still had this enormous, arguably too big of a triple lutz.
Well, the problem is that she rotates like Liu Chen, where she doesn't even start rotating until she gets to the top of the triples. And I thought that they really gifted her in the short program. The loop really right in front of us. It looked dicey. The triples just were not around. It was really something that she was struggling with, even in the warm up. So I don't know where she kind of goes from here. I know that she has more events, but also,
I mean, she showed it in the Kiss and Cry too on the way out. She was aware of what had happened in the.
I mean, it was rough. And the other thing is that these girls skate to this emo music, and they all seem depressed. And as they're struggling and falling on the ice, I don't think it's helpful at all. The emo music, I don't think it gets them in the mindset where they're going to go out there and fight, or they're going to go out there and be classical. There's something with the fact that we now have lyrics, which means that you can use any music, and everyone picks these same angsty singer-songwriter ballads. There's a sameness. None of the skaters are standing out, and it's also not elevating them on the ice. So I know that there are safe choices. They can kind of do your angsty emo choreography, but that was not.
They're selfish choices, quite frankly, because it's not taking into account what the audience is experiencing. And for an implosion like that, then this weepy music becomes a soundtrack to a weepy experience. You know,
I would have killed for an Aranjuez, a Carmen moment. I really would have loved it.
There was almost zero classical music. Zero classical music at this entire event. And I'm not just saying that because that's my field, but like, you do kind of miss that classic warhorse moment.
Well, you miss any music of quality. I don't.
Yeah.
What was Christy Leung skating to? But the music was so bad. I think it was in her free skate that the audience was just kind of sitting
she
there.
Did really well, but
the audience was just uncomfortable. You could tell that everyone was kind of the same way when Hubbell and Donohue went. You could tell that the audience hated the music and just felt
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
That and your friend Mako Yamashita, her music choice. Oh dear, Jonathan, that was a rough one for the audience, for people with ears.
For anyone with a head, it was very, very difficult. It was almost so terrible it was hilarious, but she didn't play it as such, so it was just awkward.
Yeah,
and that was a tough free skate also. But.
Yeah, and then there's Amber Glenn.
And then there is Amber Glenn, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what's happening in Texas in regards to costuming and eye makeup. And it's not stellar. You know, here's a girl who has some strength, and they put her in these monochromatic, very washed up mauve-y colors that weren't flattering. They looked like open wounds or sores or something as she's just singing Rip My Heart Out for You, and very emo-y, and the strange eye things that looked very unnatural. And I know that sounds like silly packaging, but especially in person, you think, I can't even see you. This is such a nothing color, and your eyes look like you're taking away from them. You have no expression now because you're doing this weird cat thing.
There's a weird thing going on with the hair and
the half tights, yeah.
I keep thinking of what people said the color of the dress looked like in the short or the free.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Or quite frankly, the patterns on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
very
not
Georgia O'Keeffe. Yeah.
Yeah. Amber kind of looks like just like a hot mess, like a fun hot mess when she's landing the jumps, but there's a real wild quality where they just can't get the packaging.
It's like a wild horse. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the coaching, and it's the packaging, and it's everything put together. To me, she has a lot of more natural talent than some of the other ladies in the U.S., and there's clearly a lot going on that needs to be refined with training and psychological work and things like sports psychology type things with a coach to really challenge and bring out that best performance. And there's something there that is just not happening. She did a decent job in the short, and then goes into the free, and I think we all kind of expected that it was going to fall apart because that is what happens, and it did, and it felt really, 4 mistakes out of 7 jumping passes was really, really rough, and the music was, again, I don't know what the thought process.
Well, and it's interesting, and we're going to talk about this with Hubbell and Donohue. Sometimes it seems like skaters or a skater's team just can't see who is in front of them. And maybe Amber does think she connects to this music, but she is not the person who's supposed to be skating to these things. It takes away from the things she can do. What she can do is skate around like a very strong, tough girl. So go for it. But yet you see maybe there's this desire either by the team or her to just be a sensitive emo skater, but it detracts instead of enhances what they're working with. Yeah. And if you have a strong, powerful girl like that, maximize it. Use it. Show us how strong she is. Show us how fast she can fly around the ice. Don't apologize for it and try to cover it up and now
be
just
your
make
butch
it like
self and skate to the Matrix, okay?
Just own it. Kaori, you know what? She knew she couldn't do the other, so just go with it. And
maybe she needs a Benoit moment. Maybe that would help her.
Yes, I think so.
She's kind of butch and wild, and you kind of got to just go for those big jumps and have him do some weird angles, because a lot of the skaters that Benoit gets maybe shouldn't be doing all these weird angles. Maybe it's emphasizing the wrong things. And I think for Amber Glenn, she needs some strength to her skating because I don't know. She's never going to be the princess. That's not who she really is on the ice.
But I feel like it's all she ever wants to be, or someone only wants her to be that, and they're trying to make her that, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. It was interesting. We've talked to these, so our friends, the brothers that were gambling, are big Tanya truthers, and they will tell you how Tanya should be reinstated and how she... Right. The whole thing. It's a conversation you really need to experience. The one thing I was thinking about is that Tanya, they always tried to make her into the delicate flower, but that's not the rule of skating anymore. Kaori Sakamoto skating to the Matrix is... Tanya would be just fine skating to whatever she wanted. No one needs to have her skate to Moon River anymore. It is not that she would do very well. They would get behind her more than they did back then in terms of at least her talent and her styling and being a balls to the wall kind of biker chick. That would be more accepted today. So I think Amber should probably, they need to figure something out with her. It's the same kind of music year after year, the Beyonce ballad. It's just not working. Anyway, she has talent, but it's running out.
I'd be intrigued to know who her favorite skaters were coming up or skaters she admires now. And I feel like they're going to be skaters that are
Johnny and Tara because they always support her on TV. So
yeah. But I wonder if the people she likes now are people that are cut from a totally different cloth. Like, she doesn't understand that she's actually from the Tanya family much more than she's from a Sasha Cohen family. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rough
so,
one.
leave it at that.
Eyes were on that, though. I knew it was going to be a situation when she got out on the ice, and...
Right. And it was.
Overall, Wakaba, I thought, did a much better job in the short program than...
I had no idea she was going to be able to do what that was.
And she didn't practice particularly great the day before. Both Kaori and Wakaba had several pops, but I thought that she pulled it out. But you could tell by the end of the short program that she was getting rather winded. I think she needs to bring the Adele program back. You never know how much longer she has in Japan with her injury situation. I think she should I want to see Skyfall again. I want to see her sliding across the ice.
Amazing.
I need that moment to happen again, like she did at the Worlds after the Olympics. That's just everything that she needs.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I liked her pop music short program last year even more, but I was impressed that she pulled off what she pulled off here. So I'm intrigued. I mean, because this is such a vast improvement and step up from where she was earlier. I thought, oh dear, nothing's going to be able to happen for her this season. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if she'll be inspired by the short program finish for her to kind of remotivate her maybe in a way.
Yeah. Now, what did you think? Let's just go to the interesting skaters.
Okay.
Let's talk about Tuktamysheva. All right.
Okay.
So Michael Shanley came to the event. He was so taken by her dive bar vibe. He just loved the whole thing. The too much makeup with the dark eyeshadow going on.
She kind of had a Vegas, like a blackjack dealer kind of thing going on for the free skate in the costume. It worked.
He liked the whole thing. People love that, like, she's a throwback to a Slitskaya era, of the Bucherskaya era. She has that same kind of vibe of a Russian who's lived and seen some things. Yeah.
She has perspective, and it's easy to relate to them that way, because she seems like
she's a really elevated way of putting it.
Well, she's over it in her own way.
She's
and
lived.
You kind of like that she's over it. Yeah.
She looked ticked the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the scores came out.
But I think Doug Haw is probably really happy with her this season, but I felt that she has lost some of her power on the ice. And I think that her inner Tanya, it looks too slight on the ice, and she had no speed that we've seen. She's known for her speed, and she did not have any. Yeah,
she was not one of the faster skaters here. Yeah,
by any means. And I think
and really didn't quite fill out the ice as much as one might have thought a skater like her would have.
No, you want to see her barreling across the ice, doing those big jumps, and the patterns were small. I thought when she did the free skate, like we talked about Mariah having a smoke break, and she has a definite smoke break in that free skate, but it's actually her step sequence. And you're like, wait, you can't have the smoke break during the step sequence.
During an element, yeah.
You're not going to get the levels or the GOE for that. Like, that's a choice. So she did do the triple axels, and they were exciting, but they were not as effective as they could have been, because just the magic and the energy seemed gone. But she also was in Finland last week, then went here. That's rough, that amount of
travel. That is a
travel.
rough time change as well. Yeah. In addition to the back-to-back, I just think the time zones are...
Yeah, and then I'm sure when she goes back the other way, it's going to be rough again. So, yeah, I don't know. She's just not... I worry that she will not be able to make the Grand Prix final. You know, already having a third place.
Yeah, because I think she might get another third.
Yeah, and
something. Yeah,
she looked ticked on the podium because she knows, what it takes to make the Grand Prix final, and she did do all of her elements. But I do think that even though Bradie is not a ballerina on the ice or the most beautiful skater, watching them do their spins, Tuktamysheva's, the GOE, the positions, the speed, it was really weak. And outside of the jumps, when she didn't nail the jumps in the short program like she can, the other elements really ding her, and then the components ding her, and it's going to be hard for her.
Well, it was strange because she switched, right? Because in Finland, I think we saw her still go for the, this is Elizaveta, go for the flip toe in the short, and then the lutz. So then to change it to the toe and have it be a quasi-disaster.
Yeah.
And then her lutz, which is normally her go-to, for it to be not of its highest quality. And I think because in the short, again, I think she knows she's supposed to do something more. So they're trying to do a little bit more before the jumps. And I think this is proof why she doesn't like to do it. It makes it harder for her.
Yeah.
And the jumps are suffering just that little bit because she's trying to put some content before them.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for her to compete with the other girls in terms of the transitions, the speed. She did miss her takeoffs a little bit on the jumps in the short program, the toe jumps. So I think she can do better than she did there. But even her best, I think you kind of could see in the free skate that it wasn't matching up with the other girls. Just when you do go against competitors who can spin quickly or who do have speed, the points that she gains for the axel, they the
judges don't help. It was interesting here to see where you feel like judges could have helped or hurt someone. Kind of justifiably in a way. They could have backed it up either way. And no one was really interested in helping her.
Yeah, well...
They could have, but they didn't.
So I was practice judging as I was watching, and, I didn't see anything that would really be over a 2. I have a lot of notes that it was slow, especially during the step sequence. The layback spin I thought was maybe a 1. The triple axels, the first one was probably the best element in the program. The triple lutz, double axel, again, she was very tilted and about a 0 in terms of GOE when it washed out. Even the double axel, triple toe, double toe that was in the bonus, the tilt again and the slowness of that combination was rough. And because of how she executes some of the jumps, everything was kind of like +1 or +2 maximum. And it's gotten to the point where these other ladies are going for higher base value and other content. And she just...
And the PCS in general, although I think it was the Russian or the Kazakh judge, was like giving her insane marks on PCS for interpretation and program. But I thought most of this is determined by her lack of speed and lack of ice coverage, just in general. And that was so clear in person.
And the lack of body movement.
Bradie was.
The arm... choreography is more fun when a skater like that has a lot of speed and really engages the audience, and it just didn't happen. But
Now,
how about Cowrie? What did you make of her in person? You saw her at Four Continents.
Yes, I think these programs are a great fit for her. I know what they're doing, and they're not pretending she's something she's not. Mm-hmm. Take note, Amber Glenn, go do this. And now, it didn't quite work out for her technically, but you can tell the Matrix program, again, not a work of timeless art, but you could see how, if delivered cleanly, there is a build in that program that an audience could get behind just because of the thumping beats and the way it grows. if she delivered it cleanly, I think the audience would have had a moment with her.
And all those squats.
Yes, very athletic, though. You get the idea that she's a powerhouse. And you're like, yeah, I get it. She's a strong, strong girl.
So when she's trying to do the fan spiral, which is kind of like the tilt in dance, when she kicked her leg, she almost like took off the heads of all the judges as she went across. Also not an aesthetic position at all.
No, especially with that angle to the judge.
So that was a rough one.
But I even think the Roots program, there's something gritty and earthy about it, and it's not supposed to be refined, and she isn't refined, so it kind of was, I think if you were given a Kaori, great choice. Great choice.
I thought the difference between her and Bradie Tennell in the short really came down to speed and the spins. Her spins just weren't on par with Bradie's in terms of the GOE.
Right. And the extension isn't quite as nice. Kaori can get deep in the knee at times, but Bradie still can at least extend her free leg a bit more, and that makes a big difference.
I mean, they both have the Benoit choreography. I think Kaori's is smoother. I think she works with him more and understands it more. I thought the short maybe had more refinement than Bradie's, but I think overall she just was lacking in the speed of her elements and the speed across the ice.
It seemed early, even though we had seen her at the Nepola Trophy, but it still feels like she's finding her footing.
Yeah.
In these, and I think by Japanese nationals she could have a real moment with both programs if she wants, but it still seems like they're skating her at the time.
Yeah, I think Japan has a lot of openings. I think we're seeing so far that the depth hasn't really been there this season. A lot of the girls appear to be injured, so I think if she can keep improving slowly and steadily, that she'll be there for nationals.
When I think about the top contenders in Japan, the whole thing seems chaotic to me.
Yeah,
like a bit could go too many different ways, and so for all we know, Wakaba could get her act together and make a team again.
Yeah, they all seem scattered and inconsistent right now. But yeah, I think they both could do well. But I don't see Kaori or Wakaba competing with the Russians this season. I really think that the Russians could sweep the podium this season. Even with Rika, unless Rika can be the spoiler, I really don't see how anyone could compete with Etteri's team. The
only chance they would ever have is if in some sort of short program, as evidenced here, because if they can't do the quads or choose not to do the triple axels for Kostornaya or something in the short, they have more of an even playing field for the short. But we know that once we get to the free skate, it's all over. 2 quad lutzes alone, even if she delivers them only okay, Shcherbakova already is so far ahead of the game, I'm
really curious to see how Etteri manages this coming situation with Zagitova, because she clearly has 3 girls from the next generation who are primed to be the top 3 and primed to go to the Worlds. Now, if they're all healthy, it will be hard for Zagitova to get there, although she does have the titles that will help her with components. She doesn't really have the tactical arsenal. I know people talk about the quad flip that we saw in the harness, but I don't think that means much. If Etteri gets... does she get a percentage if Zagitova does shows and things like that? Because then I wonder if Etteri will kind of make the decision to protect the queen and protect her reputation and move out, because it is clear, just from watching in person with Shcherbakova, there is a new generation here that is delivering, and there's just no stopping it. So
because to me, I know we revisit it every week because the pyramid is ever changing, but it does seem like Evgenia and Elizaveta are competing on the outside for 5 and 6.
Sure.
And I do think that Trusova has kind of got her safe space, and then between those other 3, it's where it seems most interesting. So I was fearful for Anna here after the short, because I thought that could be all it takes, but for her to have come back and done such a clean long kind of solidified her as a real leader.
I felt that Etteri was going to pull it out. I don't know exactly what kind of psychological warfare Etteri did, and maybe it's not positive for Anna's overall development as a human
person. Yeah.
We also heard from a coach that the requirement is that Anna is 38 kilos or less. So there's that. So, none of this seems long-term, but I don't think that this matters because maybe her parents get an apartment and a car and move on to things. But whatever Terry did, so when they were in the kiss and cry after, first of all, when she fell on a back crossover, I felt for her in that moment.
Yeah.
You just knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
Not that there was already an error in the program, and then that happened. Also, when she's not doing the quads or having the extra musicality, it just doesn't read the speed across the ice. But she is very musical, I have to say. And always on her music, on the beat, and she delivers. But when they were in the kiss and cry, Terry and Danny kind of like told her to go one way where they went off in the other. They seemed sick of her. And I wish that we could have a closed captioning of what they're actually saying to each other in the kiss and cry, if someone could work on that. Because if you ever notice when someone doesn't do well, Terry and Danny will have conversations almost like about the girl in front of her. It's not like a conversation with her. Yes. I really want to know like what they are saying. It's not positive or encouraging. But
it's only to inform the person sitting in between them. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So I really am intrigued by that. And then when they got up and they looked disgusted and over it, and she looked like a lost girl, and then the volunteer was like, no, you have to go that way.
You have to go with them.
Yeah. Quite a moment. It was, people in the arena were really talking about it. It was one of their favorite things of the weekend. But I have to say that the way they designed her free skate is really brilliant in terms of the quad lutz, because now, if she were to pop it and go for a triple, she could have different kind of problems, and maybe they have a backup plan. But her program is really 4 lutzes, 2 axles, and a triple flip in terms of what she's doing, because she does the loop and the Euler Salchow on the back. So she spends probably about 2/3 of that warm-up drilling the lutz combo, the lutz technique over and over and over again to get it really steady before she goes out there. And then she practiced the lutz again, but when she went out before her program. But it was so exciting because you could tell her setting up the quad, and she was taking her time with her technique, and then it became time that she needed to go for this quad in the warm-up, and she splatted. And I think everyone was starting to follow, because I think the feeling was that if she landed the quad, she would win, and if she didn't, that would be a long ride back to Moscow. I mean, could you imagine if she had come to Las Vegas as expected to win with
by a landslide? Yeah.
Terry is present, and then she loses. I mean, Terry's going to go to Canada with Trusova, and she'll be fine. She probably stays in a nice suite. You said she was at the host hotel, so, there were shutters on the host hotel on the outside. It looked like a bad version of the Port Orleans in Disney World. It was not cute. But I'm wondering what they would, her life would have sucked, okay? Her life would have been god-awful if she had lost that. But I'll be curious who flies back with her. Because does Danny go to the next event?
That's what I wondered if one, since they're already in Vegas, if one just pops right up to Canada now.
I'm sure Terry would go to Canada. But does Danny go to Canada with Trusova? I'm not sure. Or does Dudikov go? Like, what is the trade-off? Who's accompanying her on the airplane? Any of that. But yeah, that would be a long ride back if she had lost. So, anyway, I believe you can hear me yelling for her when she's doing the quad lutz.
Because that was in your corner.
In my corner. And I was into it, Jonathan. I was feeling the whole damn thing. I was like, she is going to do it. I was like watching the kind of a Terry magic. While the skater before her was on the ice, Terry was like gesturing. They kept doing her lutz to like.
But it was so funny when she missed the first splat, the attempt in the warm up on the quad lutz. Danny was telling her. She went past them, and Danny was telling her, pull up. And Terry was telling her, go down, go down. And I thought, now who the hell is she going to listen to right now? Because it was so clear that they were giving her 2 different solutions to what she should do next. And whatever she did, then she just started landing it. But I
do have to go down to go up like a spring, so they might.
I guess maybe they were working in tandem, but they both seem to have like spot checked in a different way.
She skated like her. She did that like her life depended on it. Like she
and it might have.
She pulled it out like it was the Olympics.
Yeah,
and her family
needed it.
Maybe the only thing that feeds her family for the rest of time. Like. There's that kind of a vibe going on with the Sambo 70 girls.
Mm-hmm.
She delivered, okay? It was like...
And the second quad lutz, which they did review, but from where I was sitting, now it was down the way, but it had so much speed and glide in and out of it in the arena. I didn't know when she was skating, it looked like she came on from a different event. Mm-hmm. She's a totally different size. She's a totally different aesthetic. It's just... literally a different sport when she was on the ice compared to every single person. But she did have good speed. She had nice extension in person. She does listen to the music. And she was taking up big ice patterns, which I thought was nice.
She really is the sickle-footed Sasha Cohen. It really is what... I mean, she's a little flat-footed when she skates and the landings, and... she's beautiful through the ankle, but not the foot, and hopefully that they will work on that because everything else is stunning except for the tights. And it's so funny because obviously she is very slight, and we get messages from skating fans that are like, bless their hearts. Someone wrote to me and they were like, I'm very concerned. I think the tights make her legs look really skinny. And I wrote
it's not the tights. The tights probably make her look even... more normal than she actually is.
Yeah. It's interesting. The former skaters are brutal and ruthless when they're watching skating, and it's the fans that just want to like hug everyone.
Yeah.
It's two completely different vibes.
But this did look. I mean, size-wise, there was a very clear difference.
Yes.
So in that way, she does look like a junior.
Well, and I know has to be 38 kilos, Jonathan. So.
I mean. Dear Lord, that's like my left thigh. Okay.
Yeah. Now my other daughter Eunsoo was in this event.
She was, but she was in Mariah country.
Okay. Oh, and Mariah Carey is going to play at Caesars. I mean the USFS really missed the boat by not having Mariah Bell here. I think it would have helped Eunsoo. Maybe she would have gotten a little bit more fired up.
How are you feeling about her jumps compared to when she was with Rav?
So she's gotten taller. And clearly lost some strength and looks lost. And I know that...
I'm not used to such a wide swinging free leg from her, unless I'm just not remembering it. But especially on the triples, the first triple was consistently getting such a wide swinging free leg that I wasn't accustomed to that being her
She's
issue.
Trying to force the jumps to happen. That's clear. Yeah. She looks nervous about them. She looks like she doesn't really trust her technique right now. And now that she's taller, it seems like it's off. And she's trying to adjust, but she's in that stage where she's probably competing earlier than she would like to. But the schedule doesn't wait for you to get, adjusted to her technique. And it looks like she probably is going to have a lot of growing pains this season. She looks like she's lost her confidence, lost the fire. And yeah, I mean... The Lutz is a definite exclamation point. I really was watching it. It can be good, but she does not have that spring. The programs are pretty. They're not as mind-blowing as she was last year.
Yeah, they're a bit more basic to me than... And she does, especially in the free skate, that bit of the fan work she does. It kind of looks really cool.
The short with the fan hand is the coolest thing. Yes.
Yeah, and then at the end when she does it, and
I think of Margaret Cho talking about Karl Lagerfeld, where she's like, he is fanning the flames. I won't finish that sentence, but if you
amazing, yeah. but if they went further with that, but it seemed like I don't know it seemed kind of slapped together the choreographic portions of this.
Well, she hasn't gone back to David to do the touch-ups, and now she has Misha Guy working with her. So I mean, obviously he's a choreographer. Do you think he's going to start working on the programs? I think so.
Right.
I don't know how he became the assistant coach and what that situation is, but if he's moving in that direction, it's interesting because he works with Kazuki Tomono, and when he posts the clips, he more is working with them on jumps rather than their actual skating, but I'm sure he works on... I mean, how could you not when you're a choreographer in that sense? But I don't know if he's out of his depth a little bit. Like, he's getting quite huge talents really early on, so he'll learn fast. But I think it's a tall order, but his career is obviously going well. He has two talents that can make it or not make it right now, where they're kind of on the cusp. And it does seem like Eunsoo needs some sort of a direction, but I don't...
But she's one that judges want to help her.
Well, she's lovely movement quality. She's gorgeous on the ice, but she's
always sticks out in a warm-up. She's absolutely stunning.
I know. She has the porcelain skin. I mean, they have used that cream on her face to get, like, a color that is not seen in nature. Ethereal.
Yeah.
Yes. So she's doing all of the Yuna tricks. You could just tell the David Wilson programs, the mother, the whole deal. It's just, maybe Yuna's mother should coach her. You know, I think she would pull out a performance in no time. Park Mee-hee would be like, you land that triple toe. So yeah.
Without that swinging leg,
You reach back and you vault up. It does look like she's lost strength in her limbs as it's gone along. Yeah. But we'll have to see what happens. It looked sad, and I was groaning when she missed jumps in the warm-up. But the free, you could tell the audience loves her. The interesting thing to me is that the Saukow was her nemesis for several seasons, and her Saukow has really been... She does it on a wide curve pattern, and it was beautiful. Her triple loop and her triple sow, both by themselves, were rather nice in person. It was all the toe jumps that she really had problems with. And
absolutely.
Those seemed stronger last year. So, I don't know. That's what to do about my daughter. She needs help, though. She needs help, and it just looks like it's unsteady. And I'm not sure that she actually does train with Hye-In Lee, but if maybe they need to centralize that. In skating, whatever's working for Hye-In Lee, if it could work for Eunsoo, let's just manifest that, because...
Lamaman. Do you think Bradie could make the final?
So Bradie is in a really tough field next week. Bradie has to go against Rika. She has to go against Medvedeva. She has to go against Trusova. So second and third, and Young Yu. So...
I could see her third, fourth.
I think she can take Medvedeva. She can take Medvedeva.
Yeah.
Could she take Young Yu if she's clean, but she's going back to back? She may get tired.
I don't know. I think the judges will help Bradie beat Young Yu for sure.
I think a second and a third is doable, especially with Tuktamysheva getting a third at her first event. Then Bradie would get a second and third, and that could make things interesting. Where it could be possible to make the final with a second and third, then like the way that you could kind of split
Rika
the six events.
We don't know what to expect. I mean, Rika should be above Bradie ideally, but you never know.
So it's going to be a really stacked field. Skate Canada is tougher in a couple of these fields, especially the pairs and the ladies. The ladies here were stacked too. I mean, Cowrie is likely out of the final herself. So. Yeah, I mean, I think Bradie's chances for the final, if you look at who can make the final, I would think Trusova, Shcherbakova, Kosternaya. I would say at this point, Zagitova, based on what we saw at the Japan Open, is probably going to get one of those spots.
Maybe
Rika. So there's kind of another one open. And I think it could go for Bradie. I think the fact that Cowrie is kind of down right now, it would be kind of Tuktamysheva or Bradie for that last spot. That's without, because Eunsoo won't make the final. So yeah, that's kind of which way. But Bradie, I think they just do too many angular movements with her upper body and the short. And
she said it was so interesting. There was some Jumbotron interview where she was in that very unfortunate short program, Little Orphan Annie situation, and she was talking about her new look and her new style, and I'm always wary when skaters talk about that. And sure enough, it was one of those things in the short. You could tell there was something cuter happening at times, but I didn't understand its point of view. And I thought, I don't know that the picture here is that clear yet.
So she moves across the ice rather well. With her crossovers, they're smooth and they're fast. Mm-hmm. And she knows how to use her extension. Her knees do get stiff. And that's just something that I think she fights. And getting the knee bend and not being so rigid. Because I think she is a very... We've heard that that's how she trains. Like 1,000,001 jumping passes. And then her upper body gets stiff too in competition. Which I understand. I get stiff in my upper trapezius under pressure in that, especially on the ice. So they need to really kind of figure out, I would think, to kind of get rid of the upper body and do some of just those like lower movements where you just let your limbs hang and you try to create a mood and aesthetic that way. I felt like there was a little too much going on up here that was emphasizing the stiffness and the color of the dress. I think a deep red would be fine. They have got to give her hair some color. I was wondering if they should go platinum blonde or if they should go darker. I would like to have one of those makeover things on. Remember those programs that you used to be able to like take your picture and do makeovers? Can we do like 20 different? I think you got to make Bradie look really striking on the ice, especially with like the Benoit angular thing. Do we want to like make her platinum blonde and like look like the singer Robin? Like, I don't know, but maybe we could like do something with her that makes her look a little bit edgy.
Makes her pop. Yeah.
Because the choreography is rather edgy. You know, the Benoit program is edgy and not Ice Princess, so I think that they should make her whole look rather edgy and just kind of draw it out. And the music, the whole look to it. So, I don't know. But the free, again, that dress is not where it is at. The color of the short was like she was a skinny Mrs. Claus for me. You thought it was Orphan Annie. I thought it was like skinny Mrs. Claus and we were at the North Pole. It was just not the look. And then the free skating dress was also like, it needs to be a deeper purple.
And the material itself doesn't look of the quality of some of the other dresses. Like it looks a little knockoffy or something, and it makes you think we're looking at a discount skater, which isn't helping the case, for her PCS marks and things like that.
It was not the biggest groan from the audience when the costumes. Hubbell took that award.
Yeah.
So, that was like the judgmental skater crowd and the queens were not living for that look. So
I
don't know what they're gonna do. What did you think of Hubbell and Donohoue here? Let's just go into it since we were talking about bad costumes and it came up and.
Yeah, especially the short. It was, I don't know why a drop waist, anyone thought that was going to be a smart idea.
White makes everyone look bigger, and she's a very muscular skater. She's very fit in person.
Yeah.
Her calves are so powerful and muscular. You can really see them with the cut of the dress, and it was like, whoa. That is a girl who can really skate.
But again, I find we have two people and their strengths are their strength, their power, their innovation, their all this edge. And they just want nothing more than to be a basic lyrical couple. And it's such a disservice. Come on, my heart belongs to Daddy. Like, this could not have been stranger, and I know she keeps saying in interviews she's wanted to do it forever, but there are some dreams that can just wait over here. Do it as an exhibition. I mean, it looked like a Halloween kind of Marilyn Monroe. She put the mole on.
I feel really of two minds about their skating, right? Their actual technical skating and the elements I thought was really strong. Here, I thought that they looked smooth.
The pattern was enormous.
It was the biggest skating. It was way bigger than any of the other couples. Stepanova and Buchan were very small. Their twizzles were small. Their pattern was small.
And Hubbell and Donohoue so much faster.
Yes.
Than especially, this was, I think, the first time I was seeing Stepanova and Buchan. Maybe that's not true. But it was very clear to me how much slower they were than Hubbell and Donohoue.
Yeah. So their skating is the biggest. It fills out the arena, probably other than the French. It really does that. But I don't think that either music is a good edit, and I don't think either program necessarily fits them. They don't have music that fits them like a glove. And I think that it seems like Madison picked the music for this season, or at least had a big say in it. And I felt for the short that I get that they want to do a Maryland program, and then they needed music for the pattern, and they picked Smash because that's about Maryland. But I think that that's like too conceptual for the audience. And I think that you could, because Smash, the musical within the musical, is about Marilyn, I don't think they needed the My Heart Belongs to Daddy. And I feel like when they switch from who's singing, it's just awkward. You know, like I don't think that Marilyn singing and then someone singing about Marilyn, that they necessarily go together. And it felt like it had no arc. I don't think that the white was a good color. I think they could do a different Marilyn, and that you don't have to be so on the nose with the dress.
So out of a bad costume shop.
Yeah. And like she was going for it with the hair, and she is very charming. There are other songs from Smash that they could do, so you still have the same musical artist, and maybe make it a Smash program and fulfill your Marilyn desires in that way, and kind of work it, because the program is off. They got a decent score, but there's something off about the program where it had applause, but not raving applause. And it was their whole event.
They have this energy and this presence that the audience will go for it if you give them the right vehicle. And we've seen great vehicles from them. You know, just the last 2 seasons are just kind of missing the mark here with I think what actually suits them.
And it's interesting to me because they have this muscular, big energy, right? And we know some like big Broadway broads from years, like, come on, they could be doing like the hello, Dolly, hello, I mean, they have that kind of energy where it's like Hubbell is going to be in your face when they're on the ice.
Yeah, grand and
big,
nostalgic, big, totally.
And I thought that they were doing cool things technically in the short. The twizzle sequence is very cool, although I do worry about Zach knocking into her. I mean, I think that they've definitely improved, but, you know, that 4 continents mistake is always right around the corner. I think overall their skating is strong. To me, the biggest problem is the free dance.
Yes, I agree.
The color, to the music, to everything. So, where to begin? What did I hate the most? I knew it was going to be... I had heard not great reviews about it earlier from people that had heard the music edit without knowing exactly what they had picked. And it was one of the songs where Bradley Cooper is like a drunk, grovelly singer in the movie in the beginning. And they clearly picked it for the song Shallow, but they don't actually use Shallow for that much. And the program doesn't really go together and tell a cohesive emotional journey, and the music is really not, the cut of it is not emotional at all, and it doesn't build or go anywhere, and I don't think it suits them. I think on paper you could think that the Star is Born, because he has that kind of grunge vibe, that it could, the rocker thing, but it just
But that denies what they can do. That's save that for somebody else.
So
I don't know. It was just.
I think that rough around the edges things, because they always kind of had those programs that were a little bit grittier and earthier. That I get why they thought it would work, but for some reason it just doesn't. And I would change the music in the short and rethink it. Right? I would bag the long.
I don't know, and if they don't, they're going to be dead in the water because the judges told them. Because quite frankly, Stepanova and Buchan should not be anywhere near their score based on the skating itself. But
so they really lost it. They lost it from the GOE. It's interesting, is how they lost the free. And it was only by a hair, but it was also a message. I didn't think that Hubbell and Donohue's free dance had anything that I felt like we hadn't seen from them before.
And that's the thing. Again, you're the most powerful in the entire discipline right now, in my opinion. The strongest, could do the big thing. Actually, the Canadians kind of also exude this just beneath them kind of version of the same thing, but they're giving them material that's more correct. I think that kind of aggressive in-your-face approach, and the audience goes nuts for them. Even though Hubbell and Donohue have better skating skills, I want to see like borderline pairs moves. I want to see something so athletic from them, and their spins and their lifts are just not innovative. They're just kind of
I felt like we had seen all the lifts before, or
completely lacking in innovation and the kind of cool difficulty I think that they're capable of.
You know, they've had such a great free dances for many years or different concepts, and I think that they need to go back and maybe let Marie-France just pick something that she thinks could be good for this season to be powerful and interesting.
Right.
I don't know, we saw so many great shows in Vegas that were really, like, current and in your face, and to me, they have this vibe. But I felt even from the costume, she was in black, he was in dark maroon and these, like, dark jeans, but it looked not...
Forced.
It looked forced, and you could tell kind of the mood of the program, what it was going to be, and it wasn't elevating. And I think the judges are ready to pounce. The Russians have 2 teams within the top 5, and I think they would like to have 2 teams on the podium because they both seem ready to make errors. But you also do have Chalk and Bates that are right there. So kind of in the dance power rankings, I think Hubbell and Donohue are vulnerable at this point. And I don't...
Well, and Chalk and Bates are giving you a whole bunch of innovation. Yeah. Assuming they can kind of clean it up and make it a bit more cohesive. I'm much more intrigued to watch those lifts because they're far more interesting.
Now, granted, there's no way that Chalk and Bates will have the speed or the power of Hubbell and Donohue, but I do think that... So they were trying to have, like, Zach do some, like, edgy moves and, like, really emphasize that kind of, like, balls to the wall, rough around the edge quality. But there was so much snow flying when they were skating, and I don't think that that's good in ice dance. I don't think that, even though it's intentional snow flying, it gives kind of like a perception to me that it's not pristine and as clean as you would want their skating to be. So, I don't know. I just left feeling
nothing. I felt nothing after they skated. And I truly, now this is the second season in a row, I'm not totally on board with the material, but I am on board with them.
Yeah.
So it becomes a very difficult situation.
Yeah. I saw his mom there walking.
Intense.
Yeah, she was nervous. She was like kind of pacing the arena right before they went down. But yeah, Stepanov and Bukin. So they're definitely a team that's made for the cameras because, again, their skating is not as big. But
right. Or fast. Yeah,
they have this kind of charisma about them that's interesting, even though the free dance made like not like a sense. Okay.
Right.
The Crimea River out of nowhere with the Anati, it goes from Primavera to Crimea River to something else, right? And it was just like a Russian mess where they're kind of still with the junior coach, but they've been politically pushed to the top, and they do have a lot of razzmatazz. So, but there's some X factor about them. Her facial expressions, he's quite powerful on the ice, especially in person.
And their commitment to the moves. They are completely invested in the program. In a showy, I mean, I think we said this last year, sometimes there's that like sexy kids at the mall like kind of feeling like that kind of approach to it. But there is such commitment to each movement, and their packaging is stellar. I thought that their look in the short dance, I really liked it with the red coat inlining and stuff like that. And same thing, they looked very sexy and chic and modern in
some oligarch is going to see her on TV and want to marry her, whether or not she can really extend that free leg as much as she would want, or she's fine. I'm not worried about her in life. Okay, she's stunning. It's ice dance. People get points for being pretty. So, but there's something striking about them. So I think they'll be steady throughout the season, but the lack of speed and ice coverage is going to be a real detraction compared to Hubbell and Donohue. But they already got like a tie score in the free dance.
Right.
So
shouldn't have. They shouldn't have based on the skating alone, but with the content, I don't know. Yeah, the judges gave Hubbell and Donohue slightly more points in PCS, but obviously they were hoping for more than that. So, I don't know where they go from. I think they really have to bag the program. I really do. The Kana Danes, I felt like she is such a star, and you look to him because he is so gorgeous, but she really is the better of the two skaters. So it's interesting to me. They have to find a way for your focus to be on her. Even though he's very strong, when you watch his footwork compared to Zach's footwork, it is like a lower rent version, like a knockoff. Right. So how you have Linus and then you have Rerun, he's Rerun, right? Like there's... But he is the most gorgeous skater I know.
In the event.
And they're good actors and actresses also. Like the way they sell that sex in both of those programs is absolutely amazing. And they are using their size and power to their advantage. So suddenly the entire arena had a much more engaged interest and bigger applause and all of this sort of stuff. And again, they're working with like half of some of the ability that Hubbell and Donohue have. They just have packaged it right. So yeah, I don't know. I was thrilled for them. I was intrigued because this could have been an important event for both them and or the Spanish team.
Yeah.
And they really just kind of solidified. I mean, I don't know. Let's see what happens at Canadian Nationals. This could get downright interesting with some time.
I know it's America and we were in Vegas, but the American crowd frickin' loved Smart and Diaz's
Grease.
Really, it's really just her grease. He really is just there. He is not
giving... excuse me. Not when they do that hip move into like the side lunge.
I
think
me.
He looks
Olivia
so good.
Smart in pleather is giving 1,000%. Okay? She is giving so much. Oh, and our friend saw them all at Zumanity. They all went to the sexy naked Cirque du Soleil show the other night. So I think that, listen, there is no place I would rather go. Zumanity with Olivia Smart. I mean, she just has it, okay? She has... We always said she could be a soap opera villain. She gets what Ice Dance is about, okay? She come out in the pleather, that costume with the off-the-shoulder. It is magique. The whole program...
Yeah, exactly.
They have, like, 50 different music edits in Greece, and I don't care. It is so much fun in person.
No, I think it's a very effective program.
I don't think that their free dance is as elevating or as innovative. But
they did get it right with the Grease, and it gets stronger and stronger each time we see it, too, which is also helping that. But that's the clown one.
See, I go two ways with Grease. I've been in Greece. I've seen many a production of Grease. I loved the movie as a kid, but you get sick of Grease, right? Like we have. Yeah. But she kind of makes you be like, oh no, it is a great show. It is fun. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And I'm just looking at his hips wiggle. I don't know. I think they both do a great job at it. It's a great vehicle for him.
No. The hip wiggling is all he has, all right? Let me tell you.
It's enough for me. Okay.
No? All right? Olivia Smart is like one of the great female ice dancers. Even when it's unruly. She really makes that program come alive. Total star. I think that Carrera and Ponomarenko should bag their rhythm dance. They've known that they were going to go against Chalk and Bates, and the too darn hot and the really ugly costumes is not.
Yeah, they're unfortunate. I know they kind of come from the show, but not in that color way. I mean, it's like more of a beige in the show, and she's in more of a regular pink in the show. This was like a total weird thing, but
and they have a good pattern. Typically, it just. They've improved a lot, and he looks way more like a Charlie White, the way that Igor likes his men to be. You can tell he's really built up his body, but they have a ways to go still, and I just think that doing the same program as Chalk and Bates is going to really hurt them at the Nationals. Yeah. They are going to be the ones that really get dinged here. Even though Igor may be trying, more motivated to beat the other program, I just don't think that they can do it. With this material.
Yeah, I found the flamenco much more successful for them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite nice. I mean, it's going to be intriguing in that B group. I mean, everything will be intriguing about dance at U.S. Nationals between who's 1 and 2, but really, I think between who's 3, 4, 5, 6 also. I don't, like, where do you compare them with, like, McNamara and Carpenter or Hawaii and Baker?
I believe that they can take McNamara and Carpenter. If they keep training, especially with Igor's experience, I think so. But, Hawaii and Baker, I don't think that Ponomarenko is going to knock them off just yet unless they hit a home run. And to me, the rhythm dance is detracting from that ability. They need something really great and original. And this, to me, feels like the silver medal version of Too Darn Hot. Rather than something that's memorable, it feels like a groan. And it starts from the costume to the music to the whole shebang. Right.
I'm intrigued that I felt like the judges here didn't really know what to do with Green and Parsons. And again, I'm a fan of what I'm seeing, especially the free dance. I don't know. I could have seen them maybe as they get a bit more airtime.
The rhythm dance is a little cringy in that music choice. But overall, I am...
The free dance kind of works.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the more interesting pairs at this event. The actual pairs, not the dancing pairs. Sorry, nature was calling.
But this, I'll tell you what's interesting that you say that, though, because during the warm-ups, these pairs seemed overly relaxed. Like, during both of the warm-up sessions in both the short and the free, it seemed almost too casual. It was a very eerie vibe to me.
Well, it was a much weaker field than we're going to see next week.
Right.
Where the Chinese would be lucky to medal with the performance they gave here. They were able to win the event with side-by-side double salchows to open the event. So I do think that there was a less of a sense of urgency to take the event by storm. It just felt...
Yeah, unless you were Ashley and Tim, who I would have thought there was a lot riding on this event.
I think that they started the event...
To take advantage of it.
I think that they came in probably expecting to win a medal, and then after the fall on the throw in the short, and then the fall on the throw again in the free, it just spiraled down. And you could tell that they are having problems with that throw, so maybe they were a little bit more nervy coming in, but the train wreck of the free skate, putting the lift down, the loop. I mean, I will say that a positives is that Ashley and Tim did do clean side-by-side salchows in both programs, and she usually struggles with rotation on her side-by-side triples.
It was nice to see that in the short, that they weren't even going to try the loop, but because the sows looked quite nice. And I will have to say, they look faster than I'm used to seeing them. Mm-hmm. Like, I do think that they are taking their just pairs skating very seriously. Like, I think that they are working. They did have a very specific look where so many of the pairs around them were kind of generic. I felt like they are striving for an aesthetic, and they didn't get it, but I don't know, there was a presence to them that I wasn't expecting here.
Yeah. I don't know why she does the hyphenated name. I was a little confused by that. Like, she was such a star in skating that she needed to hyphenate it. Anyway, the free skate was just a mess, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I wonder.
I couldn't tell what's going on with those lutzes, with the throw lutz.
Well, she's never had a great throw lutz. It usually lands extremely forward and deep in the knee, and it's been messy. So I'm sure it's something a little bit that's off. But
because then the loop just, to me, seemed like she just didn't have enough time to reorganize it.
The loop in the warm-up wasn't great either. I mean, that's usually a struggle bus element for them. Yeah. So I was glad to see them after we saw Alexa and Chris about a month ago and kind of really look at what the strengths and weaknesses are. I think that Alexa and Chris look more refined, but that Ashley and Tim have a little bit more of that youthful agility on the ice and maybe a little bit more speed, and their bodies look less beaten down from years of injuries and things like that.
And as much as the judges will help Alexa and Chris, even when they haven't performed well, they don't need to help Ashley and Tim. And it's interesting because even though I saw kind of a look to their skating, they could have gotten a couple extra boosts here and there, but the judges don't seem willing to throw PCS at them like they might for Haven and Brandon.
Well, the size is distracting in person. The biggest thing with Ashley and Tim is, I mean, they've really bulked him up to be able to lift Ashley because she's so tall, but it has cut some of his line and his natural movement on the ice that really used to shine with his former partner. It's really, he has like a boxier look now, but it's all muscle. So it's, it's to lift her to get that big twist and everything like that.
Which wasn't so big here.
No, the twist is not so big. It looks smaller to me. I don't know. I think that the lifts are also going to be a big problem for them. I think that where Alexa and Chris are going to get them are in some of those pair elements for the points, where Alexa and Chris could really, obviously the twist, they have an advantage. The lifts, they have an advantage for all of them. Now, Ashley and Tim put one down, but even their lifts, in general, Alexa and Chris's are much better and stronger in terms of the position.
And so are
Haven and Brandon.
And Brandon, yeah.
But I think they're in it for the bronze at this point. I think, when you look at Alexa and Chris, I think their death spiral is stronger than Ashley and Tim's. So you start to look at it, it's going to come down to the jumps and the mistakes, but I kind of think that Alexa and Chris do have a shot. As long as you can get those jumps to kind of take off at the same time, that would be a good starting moment for them. But Ashley and Tim, the program, again, doing the same music as the Kanirams. I don't feel like they needed to skate to that music. I don't think it has like a definitive point of view. But it's really figuring out their elements that's going to be the best. They're going to go to Worlds as the top. They got 2 spots for the U.S. I mean, they're going to make it to the World Championships. It's just which team is going to win the U.S. Nationals, I think, at this point is the real bet. But I think that they will be stronger later on in the Grand Prix. I don't expect them to make the Lutz error again, or to put a lift down again. But that, I wonder if they were a little bit nervous after hearing Haven and Brandon's ovation and their score, because it was a real moment, I think, in the arena. That Lion King program is just
it's very unique.
Effective. Yeah.
And it's totally in the same way that I think the Cowrey's Matrix program is designed to build in a weird way, just with audience participation. This one does it so beautifully, and that like frenzied end where he jumps her over and flips her on, like it's such a they save all of the most exciting moves for these climactic moments, and it follows the pattern, the formula for how to get an audience going, and it totally worked.
And all those lifts, I mean, he is one strong dude. They had to land one side-by-side triple. They did it. Her double axel is so cheated. It was called here. It wasn't at
It was
Nationals.
barely off the ice, yeah.
And it's so pre-rotated and tilted, and oh, God, it is just...
And yet, you would have thought they had just won the Olympics, which, again, is not an indicator that more of this kind of landed triple sow is on the horizon.
Yeah.
I feel like this... I hope that this inspires her in whatever way it needed to, but I don't know that we will see a repeat of this.
I think that we'll see about this at Nationals. I think this is what they can do when they are really trained. I expect them to be like third at Nationals, make it to 4 continents, and then I think that is where their season will end. I think looking at the other teams, Jessica and Brian have so much, like they have the look of a really great pair, but the consistency is just not there right now. His ass in those pants and his legs.
Oh my God. The bottom half of that, I was like, dear Lord, +5.
Chris Knierim needs to borrow those pants, okay? Alexa,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. That...
Yeah. Who needs quads when you have quads like that? Yeah.
Oh my God. That was incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of traded who made the mistakes in the program.
Right.
A rough one. Pavlyuchenko and Koikinen, probably like a 4th place pair in Russia, 5th place pair in Russia. It was a little bit...
Yeah, and the flips were interesting, but they weren't, they got the exclamation point and things like that. And there's kind of a disconnect from them. It looked kind of like a poor man's Moscovina program. Or team, rather.
They had interesting... lifts. The entrances and the exits especially were very difficult, but then the actual aesthetics of the position weren't there in the program.
Yeah, I thought the concept for the free was pretty cool. Like I thought that kind of angular electronic thing was a good idea for them. It just didn't quite land. Were they juniors last year? Why am I not remembering them?
I think so. We have seen them as juniors, so...
Yeah, but I'm not recalling seeing them as seniors.
I think
she is like the tiniest thing you've ever seen.
Jonathan, there's going to be 1 million people that respond to this, and like, what do you mean, you hacks?
Deacon is my favorite. Yeah.
No, they've been seniors for a bit.
Okay.
They won... Gosh, you don't remember that they were the bronze medalists last year, but they were the world junior champions in 2018. So
that's what I'm remembering. Okay.
Yeah, the years kind of start to blend together after a while. But God, Jonathan, you can't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they They got 2 bronze medals last year, but they got in Finland. There was just so much. There were so many messier things going on at their competitions last season. Okay,
I'll tell you what.
They were at Rostelecom. That was all about Gracie last year. So I don't think we really remember what the third place pair did there. I remember that someone came out looking like they hadn't been on the ice in about a year, and
the other American girl just didn't show. Remember?
Yes. So there was they were overshadowed by other American things going on at those events.
That's right.
Anyway. I thought the Chinese, it's a very sweet program in person, the free skate that Lori did. Why are they doing Alegria for the short program? Like, why are we doing a mid-90s innovative program?
Yeah, it seems an assigned cuteness. Does that make sense? Like, it's trying to be charming, but it's because charming has been assigned to them, where somehow they were able to do that thing last season where the cuteness was organic to them. And it wasn't cutesy, but it was charming. And so I was appreciating that they spent the money on Lori, because there were at times complicated, sophisticated linking of movements and choreography. But it was kind of a miss, and they seemed, again, I got a chaotic, unorganized feel from the program, because I felt like it was clear they were planning on the doubles for the short, the very scary fall on the throw. I mean, some weird stuff happening.
Yeah, a rough, bizarre kind of thing for them. But last year, they kind of made it work for them. I don't think it'll be as easy this season. It is their first gold medal on the Grand Prix, as they said.
But a pretty easy field, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was yawning there. I'm like, my body is like half in Vegas.
We just flew across the country like a couple hours ago. It's normal day.
Yeah, but like people were also like wanting to do late nights after the skating event, and I just wanted to go to bed. So
me too. Yeah, forget it.
Oh my God. So Michael Shanley is about the size of Anna Shcherbakova. Maybe he's like 42 kilos or something.
Okay.
And he was he had a couple of G&Ts, and he like missed the memo that the Vegas snack bars have like all the stuff, the food has like sensors in the bottom of it. So he's like, I'm in the bathroom like getting ready for bed, and he's one of those people where he doesn't eat a thing, and right before he goes to bed, especially if he has a couple cocktails, he's like, I want chips. Don't you want chips? Some potato chips? And I'm like, no.
Oh.
So I go to the bathroom to like wash my face and do all that. He's thumbing through the snacks that are that have the sensors for
$8 million a bag of chips. Yeah,
like a little thing of Pringles was $8.50. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you idiot! Oh yeah, exactly. My God.
Instead, you can have a $20 bottle of Smart Water or something.
Oh my God! Yeah. So when we're dealing with idiots like that, you're like, oh.
I'll tell you what.
That's on my credit card, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's going to know, yeah.
And then he would do this thing where he's like, I just want one more drink. He would get the drink, he would get in bed, and then he would fall asleep. I'm like, do you know how expensive that stuff is in Vegas? Like, you have to commit to that liquor, okay?
Exactly. Like, sloshing it around, throwing it away, yeah.
Oh my God. Like, these people. Although, did you gamble at all? I gambled for a couple of minutes.
And?
Because we have a friend there's a slot machine channel, so I was like, I'll do a couple slots. No. I spent $20. I cut myself off. I lasted 5 minutes, and no.
Did you win any, lose any?
No,
lost it all.
I lost it all. I just don't think it's for me. Casinos are not for me. I'd rather spend my money on really expensive shows.
Or again, for me, it's about stuff. I'd rather buy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Like, I could see how that is a fun activity, but I don't like that you can smoke inside the casinos. Like, I just find it so...
It's too gross for me.
Gross.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in the area at all. It's just disgusting.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
The casinos maybe where you can't smoke are better, perhaps. I don't...
But I think it really caters to a crowd that does.
Yeah, it really did. And we were at Caesars, which was like the hot hotel 20 years ago, and it had like a mixed crowd there.
Okay.
You know, it was...
A mixed bag.
A mixed bag of people.
Yeah.
Although all the hotels, I felt, had mixed crowds in their own way. So...
Yes, it's true, especially when all the skaters descended upon the Orleans, which is like the outskirts ghetto casino.
See, I did not. I feel like skating. Did the skating parents go in the casino? I can't picture that.
Well, I saw the skaters there. Like I followed Madison and Adrian, and they were meeting the Canadians for like the midnight buffet or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, but also then you feel weird because I don't want to see them then. Like,
at the buffet. What an awkward thing. Ugh.
Oh, Mishan was in the hotel room next to us.
Oh, how's he doing? Is he a good neighbor?
We just opened the door, we're like, come on in, that conjoining door.
Oh my God, I don't. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, I had downloaded the new Meryl Streep movie to watch on Netflix for the plane ride back, and like I was so ready, right? I was like ready to go. I play it. We start getting through the opening credits, and it had downloaded, and then there was an error, playback error, and when you're on that United Wi-Fi, nothing works. You can't even send a text.
Yeah, forget it. No way. No.
I was so freaking ready.
You need YouTube Red, then you can download YouTube clips and stuff beforehand.
Oh my God, I had other clips.
What you have to do, read?
I was listening to my Ronan Farrell book, but there's only so
much.
They
had the live action Aladdin on my plane. I actually watched it for a little bit, and I was like, what are you doing, Jonathan?
So, anyway, the men here were quite...
I have to say, it was a fun lineup, even though not everyone was performing well. I was glad to see a couple of these people live that I had not seen live before.
Really?
And by a couple of people, I mean, it was nice to see Dmitri live.
I had moved away from Jonathan. At that point, I was sitting with some other people, so I didn't see what the level of Jonathan orgasm was while Dmitri was skating.
It wasn't because
he gives the casino vibe where like he's been in a smoke-filled room without a shower for weeks when he is skating. It's moody. It's skating. Dark. It's the sound of silence. I just feel like we've already seen it before.
Yeah. Again, I love the way he moves more than these particular programs.
Moves very lovely, yes.
With his full body more than anyone else, and has the most beautiful back and arms, and it's just so poetic. But I did notice in person, but it is slower. And for someone who I find so poetic and beautiful and amazing, I needed him to spin better, especially because we had two of the best spinners in the world of all time, like. Here, it was very apparent that his spins don't match the elegance of maybe the rest of him. But
well, the 2.5 lutz was not so cute.
I know, but the quad lutz triple toe in the short was, and then he turned around and did 2 quad toes in the free. I don't know. He's in a good place to me.
He does seem like he's in a better place, at least health wise and preparation wise. But the mistakes really got to him, and he should have beaten Jason Brown here.
Yes.
And there's something really.
The axle pop was ridiculous, and that easily would have had him.
I think
10 points ahead of
Jason did get the benefit of the doubt from the caller at times here, but overall, it just felt really bizarre to me that Dmitri Aliev did 2 quads and lost to Jason Brown. Like it just didn't sit well with me. The whole
after having done the 2 quads in the short as well, and we're not talking about a Max Aaron type of 2 quads. Like this is also a beautiful skater. Mm-hmm. Not the same spinner or edges as Jason, but this is still an artistic man who did that. Not Boyan Jin,
Yeah. Now we need to talk about being on a group text with Jonathan Byer, because when someone texts you and you need to give a polite answer, Jonathan won't respond, and I think people will think that there is that he's sugar and spice and everything nice. So Nathan Chen finishes his great skate. The world is raving about it. And that Doug Ha is already in damage control for Brian Orser. He's probably already, nervously having his cocktails for Brian. How is Brian going to do? Oh, no. How is he going to beat Nathan? Nathan, da-da-da-da. So he starts Nathan doesn't really have the running edge out of these jumps. Those quick turns. And I was like, no, meanwhile, we hadn't texted Doug. It's just you could tell nervous, emotional texting from Team Hanyu, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to find the words. I was do I go polite or do I go no?
Go. Yeah, or do I go? Yeah, okay.
And I'm maybe Jonathan will reply. No, he won't. He'll pretend like it didn't happen. We've been on several group texts.
Just ignore it.
Jonathan just ignores. And I'm like, I think you're the leader here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like just like a swinging door. That's like that I just walked out of.
He really leaves you hanging.
He really does. He really does that, Jonathan. I'll tell you what.
I mustered it up, okay? I can muster up the appropriate response. But but I wanted to reply, oh, are you nervous for Hany? Like, why are we having, like, I didn't know we were having a discussion. I hadn't looked at Nathan's protocol yet, but I was like, are we having a discussion about his running edge out of it? Like, that's kind of how he does those quads, right? Like, what? He always does that step out of it. Like, yes. He was still amazing. To be fair, like,
I still know that the Lutz, if they were going to go really high with the GOE, that it could still have a small positive GOE to it, but given that it's a pretty simple entrance and exit, understandably so, it's a freaking quad Lutz, but I still felt that positive GOE on it was a bit excessive.
Well, yes. And it's Skate America, and it felt like it had like the American Cup gymnastics vibe going on, where there was some home cooking going on in Vegas. Like,
but I mean, honestly,
the house always wins, Jonathan. Okay, like.
But this time, like, no one was really threatening the house.
No, when you're like our friend Christopher, who was gambling thousands of dollars, and I was watching like $500 chips on the table. Maybe the house doesn't always. I don't know. He was talking about numbers and luck and numerology, and
people get really into that stuff. Yeah,
they really do. Okay, I was just like mind blowing looking at like the chips going on the table. Like what? Like.
But he said he had won like 6 figures once on like penny slots or something, and I
bet he did. I bet he did.
I'm sure you did, but I don't want
to. So, yeah, I thought Nathan, he was really interesting to watch because he really wants to do all of his content all the time, and he planned that quad toe Euler triple flip, and it popped into a double flip, and he was mad. In the air, he gave a groan. In the air, you could see it, and I don't know if you could see it on TV, but from where we were sitting behind him, it was quite a hilarious moment. But I got into the whole thing. He didn't get a record here, not popping that double toe that later in the program, but I think the program really works. It worked more here than it did at the Japan Open, and I think it's really
so too.
Growing. Apparently, they are getting a new shirt. I know the whole world is very concerned about about Nathan Chen's shirt. They just don't like it. Okay, we've got like
and
dozens
here's the thing. Do people not like it because it's so colorful? My main thing is the fit of it.
It's just a lot. It's just... But Elton John is a lot, too. So
yeah, exactly. I mean... Yeah, over the top, but in a totally different way. That's what's this has a Grateful Dead
Maybe
quality.
He could be like Morgan Hurd and wear glasses. Maybe he could get like the Elton John glasses from the era.
Like big, sunburst glasses or something.
Joking. Okay, yeah. But speaking of costumes, why was Jason Brown coming out in ill-fitting pants with a sparkly cummerbund when he's about to do Schindler's List? What was that? Okay,
so here's the thing as we talk about its appropriateness or it's not. Coming out in the sparkly, shimmery pants that were kind of baggy, and then the kind of ending it received where people jumped to their feet applauding and waving flags. For the first time, as now we're thinking about this in different ways, I thought, is this the appropriate response to like a death prayer? I don't know.
Well,
I guess it does
I didn't feel that the program was an appropriate death prayer. I don't think it was inappropriate, but so Jason kind of has like, I don't know if they showed his in the arena interviews on NBC Gold or what you can see and not see, but he's always very excited, right? He's thrilled to be there. He had Bennett Skate America in a couple of years, and he's back. And there was like the whole like whoa like level of excitement that I feel like if you haven't talked to Jason in a while, like it seemed like he maybe hadn't seen human contact in several months, and he was like...
He had taken several naps. Okay.
It was an over-the-top interview. Okay. I just feel like Schindler's List doesn't match his energy. It's a beautiful program.
It's too dark, and it does match Josh's, and in a way it does match Satoko's in this very earnest gravitas thing, but he has gorgeous.
It's kind of deeper.
Joy.
It's kind of deeper and more depressed than. Like, does he have a bad day ever? Like, I can't imagine him.
Yeah. This required something of much more gravitas instead of beauty, I think.
Yeah, like to me, the short was a really good program for him. Unfortunately, the popped axle really killed him there.
But even that popped axle, even with all of the extra points, he still would have been in 4th place.
Yeah.
There was still no way he could catch those top 3.
Yeah, well, you want to do a triple axle when you're a senior man.
Yes, regardless of whether you maintained a 4th place position or not. Yeah. And then the loop, oddly
because Tracy loves him, but I'm sorry. That Brian Orser usually has an Eeyore energy, but with Jason, it just looks like he's not into it, and he sits there almost like forced.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
He can't like he cannot help that body language, but he always is like.
Although it was interesting, Tracy, when he walked off after the free, was like, "What happened to the loop? Where'd the loop go?" And I didn't know if they had that kind of relationship or if.
No, she loves him, but you can tell he's had problems with that loop before, so he's popped that in competitions over the years. But yeah, and you would think he used to do clean longs regularly, when he was trained, but
the flip does look very good. Like the flip in the short program in particular was one of the finest solo jumps of the entire event. Yeah.
And it was for him last year. When I did the judging video, I talked about that, and that has been his money element through the past several years. And the axle originally did look stronger last year, but I think a nerves thing popping it in the short, but it's going to be really hard for him to be super competitive, especially if he doesn't nail all of his jumps. And it seems like for whatever reason, going from 8 elements to 7 elements made it harder. Maybe there was more of a rest in the middle of his program when he did do 8 elements, but going from 8 to 7, he hasn't done a lot of clean programs since they've changed the rules. So I don't know what the reason for that is. There could be a million different reasons for it, but I liked this program, but it didn't live up to. Like, he really felt a lot at the end of the program, but I didn't feel like there was an emotional.
It didn't build up to it. Yeah.
There was no Academy Award winning performance happening like during this.
Well, I didn't catch the real emotion or a real story. No. I just caught a series of gorgeous vignettes, but I didn't understand how they applied to something greater than just isolated beautiful vignettes. When he does those like catch foot spins and his hand is hanging below in that beautiful position. I mean, he creates breathtaking moments, but they don't add up to one important thing like it kind of needs to for this subject matter, I feel. Yeah,
it was. But he has done those spins forever, too. So, not that they're not as impressive, but they're not as. They are impressive.
But they're not unique to the program either. Where when we first saw some of like the Prince short program or things like that. Again, to me, my favorite content forum was 13-14 was the Prince short program and the River Dance. And again, those are two joyous things.
Yeah,
but we're about dancing, not storytelling.
This year's short and last year's short have both been better than the free. Raheen did both of them, so it's so I think those were two of the better programs. But his elements do look better when he does them, but the consistency hasn't been there. So, I don't know. But I love, speaking of Tracy Wilson, when one of her students is in the Kiss and Cry, I'm fascinated by her. You know I love my Tracy. Yeah. So, when Junhwa Cha, like when his career looks like it is on the skids and really imploding, and then she gets a really rough score, she knows how to do this thing where she would like, look.
Are you looking at Brian?
And then she turned. No, I think she's making eyes with the skaters to like not react, and she's telling you we're gonna work on this, aren't we? Like she's like, but she's like, there's some kind of sorcery going on with her eyes there, and I don't know exactly what it is. But
I saw her do that look after Jason's score came up too, because I feel, and I'm making this up entirely, I feel like she is constantly justifying her choice to have Jason there to Brian.
No.
To be like, see, they just gave him almost 91 points in PCS. Like,
maybe, I mean, for him it could be. She's looking at something. But the Junhwa Cha moment, you could really tell when she was turning.
And that's another one. You know, Dave, like, I genuinely enjoyed him last year.
I know,
and the judges didn't seem to enjoy him as much. Like, he reluctantly got positions or something like that. And I liked the release of his body in the edgy part of the Romeo and Juliet. This time, because at least it made the floppy body kind of work. And this time they're doing not anything that calls on a cool, modern, more laid-back body position.
It's an imitation Hanyu. So one of the...
It's a bit too noodly, yeah.
So I met this one former skater. Her friend came up to me and was like, I have something for you. And I was like, what? I'm here with my friend, and she took from Robin Wagner and Nikolai. I was like, sold.
Yeah, sold. Exactly. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Like,
I'm interested. Tell me all the things.
He was like, she has stories. I was like, done. Okay.
I bet she does, yeah.
Do you know what she said? She felt that Junhwa Cha's body and the way he carries it reminds her, you know how people have called Hanyu a noodle at times, like noodling?
Right.
She thinks that Hanyu reminds you of like a used car salesman where they have the guy that's like...
The wacky waving, inflatable, flailing arm, flailing tube man.
Yes. Yeah. She thinks that is what Junhwa Cha is, the thing that blows in the wind.
Yeah.
Okay? And I feel it. And he does jump more with his arms than his legs, and with the arms out to here, and he just gets no height because of it on the quads. And seeing it, I feel like Brian, like a Nikolai, does really well with like a finished product. When the skater has all the elements already, he can kind of fine tune it and package it. But when he has to like give new elements or improve, we never saw Adam get that triple axel. He was under him. Christina Gao never really got any further. And it just seems like with June, he came there maybe a little too early before he had all of his technique in order. And they haven't worked on getting those jumps from the legs. And you could tell that every quad that he does is going to risk being under, even when he rotates it and lands it, because it's...
We'd have to try him. You know what I mean? These first three passes.
But even last year, he was often jumping... He was often getting unders on his quads, and it's from the technique, from the way he jumps, that it's so hard to lift your body weight with your arms as opposed to your legs. So that's why the Atari girls, when they use their arms more, they only weigh 38 kilos. So that's why they can get around like that. But Junhwa Cha is, a male. So that's a little bit tougher there.
Yeah, that really took a dive, didn't it? Because it looked like things could have... This was the season that things could have really revved up.
Yeah.
Instead, this was a clear sort of DOA situation.
And then Brezhnev doing an unnecessary Beatles medley in an unnecessary...
There must have been a tie-dye sale up at Team Roth. Like...
I feel like we've just seen Brezhnev double his entire program so many freaking times, where it is so hard to take it seriously.
He's another one. The judges would give him the world if he ever let them.
Oh my God.
In the short, even, he was getting such high he does beautiful spins, beautiful steps. He has such beautiful qualities. And even with his non-stop inconsistency, the judges are still ready to help him should he ever deliver a clean program one day, I think.
I want to know, who is Roth spending his attention on? Because aside from Nathan, Mariah Bell looks a little bit better, but I wonder if... I know that he has a lot of younger students, and I wonder if that's where his efforts are.
Well, because Gogolev was a bit dicey so far this season, so...
Team Roth is not looking so hot right now. It is.
Yeah.
Neither is Team Cricket Club, but Team Roth is like, whew.
Yeah.
God bless. They are not having a Sambo 70 kind of year. This is...
Who could? I don't know.
Also, Roth was man-spreading like no other.
Could you believe it? Like, in every stage of the competition.
I freaking love... He can get away with it. I'm sorry.
I know, it had such swagger to it, but you were like, if we were on the subway right now, I'd be very upset.
I was like... he can kind of like... Doesn't he ride a motorcycle? He can do what he wants. He just has that, like...
It better be a touring bike with that spread. Yeah, okay.
He's like the auto mechanic of triple jumps or something. Like, I don't know. And he's got that, like, those weird wide angles going in, but yeah, he can man spread all he wants, and he must have been very confident with But yeah, it was... And Keegan, I really would have had Keegan second over your Aliev in the short program. I am sorry, but
yeah, I could have seen it either way. The thing about Keegan, and I will say this, having seen him live amongst a Nathan and an Aliev, which they kept saying Aliev, all of these sorts of things.
They got Eunsoo's last name wrong too. Eunsoo Im, they kept saying.
Yeah, there were a couple of kind of hilarious moments, but he's fastest guy out there. Twice the speed of Nathan, and knees that just won't quit. Edges like one edge, boom, he's pushed his way over all the way to the other side of the rink. It's sensational, the raw fundamentals that he just has, that inherent ability on the warm up, just those opening steps and glides. You're like, whoa! My eye was always drawn to him. It was incredible.
I thought it was interesting that the arena announcer went in on the brother question, second question in, within the brief chat. I was like, whoa, we're going there. Okay. Usually on the Oprah special,
ease in.
When Oprah interviews you, she's sitting usually in a beige and off-white. You sit there and you're like, how are you doing? What's going on? You lead in really gently. She just went in for the kill. Whoa!
Yeah. And I would think that, I mean, he kind of had a bit of a release after both performances.
Yes.
And you felt like the short was able to happen. I was more skeptical of a long being able to happen after all of this turmoil.
He really does have some of the fastest.
It was incredible.
He has had the fastest spins among the men, but not the best positions. But
the sit spins positions are quite good, I think.
Yeah, he needs to turn that toe out. Why are they always so straight up and down? It's a very weird position. Very Doug Lee. I don't know. There's some...
And in the short, he was still landing with that deep knee, but less so. It was nice.
And I love the music for the long. He just was not executing his jumps during it. So, but it has a lot, and the crowd when he did the Russian split, everyone went nuts. So
yeah, isn't it interesting? I felt, if you took the patriotism out of it, there was something most likable about Keegan in a way for that audience. Yeah.
Also, the scariest fall, Alexei Krasnozhan doing that
nutty flip after he had been doing the loop. I don't know what that was about, and it never worked in the warm-up. It was always scary, and
the skating skills and artistry are
but he does do this kind of pull out all the stops footwork at the end that you wonder where that energy even came from.
Yeah, well,
but it's a dangerous energy to me. I'll never forget when he won that Junior Grand Prix final, and he kind of had a roid rage at the end of it in victory, and you were like, oh my gosh, this is alarming.
Well, he has an Amber Glen entertainment factor that is also a messy factor. Whether it's good or bad, we are watching.
Right. But oh my gosh, Tomono.
My son, my beloved son,
You called it. Now, the short program doesn't really do it for me, but he has some really beautiful moments in the free, especially.
No, the aesthetic for the long really reminds me as if Mishigi wanted to revisit the Hackensack era of Daisuke Takahashi, and when we had the velvet onesies with all the multicolors and the crap on the front, what is going on, and the Nikolai slick back hair.
Yep.
We are covered in dried vomit, according to Adam's book, and Gucci cologne, dripping everywhere. That is a real look to it. It needed the footwork sequence coming out of nowhere, but.
Right.
And by the way, the crowd loved Nathan's cheesy footwork, Jonathan. Okay,
excuse me. I love Nathan's footwork.
No, you don't.
I do until we get
Nathan's
to that
footwork
part.
is not Kirsten Moore Towers. Okay, you do not love it. You just
No. Because I actually really love the opening to it. It's just when it gets a little whoop whoop.
Is it kind of like how you love? But I think the whoop whoop is the point of the footwork. Is he's supposed to be getting whoop whoop? That's kind of the whole purpose.
Got it.
It's kind of like how you say that you love Kirsten Moore Towers, but you hate everything about her programs. It's just details.
They're not mutually exclusive, I guess.
But Kazuki Tomono, the only thing there. The music edit is horrible, how it goes between songs. It's just random and rough and not really I love that he that Kazuki might have been sitting at home and he was like, you know, today is the day that I will do Moulin Rouge. I will give it my point of view. As if it hasn't been done.
You know what the world is missing? My interpretation of this tired piece in skating.
Right after, today, I will be Tessa Virtue. You know, like, and I would like to thank Canada. You know, like,
amazing. Like, rock the tour or whatever.
He was rocking the rink with this performance.
Rocking the rink.
Giving you Takahashi 2008. All right, it was everything. He can be such a star. I do feel like both he and Eunsoo are missing some kind of like older drunk Russian male figure to really like bang on the boards with guards and
to lock in the checks, even you know, when they're landing.
And like in the discipline and the consistency, I think if they both keep, I think if Tomono keeps the set content, he can be such a star in Japan. Let's be honest. Shoma Uno, you never know how each jumping pass is going to go.
I know.
We are on a ride with that free leg. If this boy can get a little bit more consistent and aggressive, he is the real deal. He has the whole package, the whole look. The audience loves him. The judges love him. He has like a sweet quality to the whole skating. So he's like a Jason Brown with jumps, okay? Like he is really the whole deal. God love him.
He's got some really special extension and things coming this way. Yeah.
I think he's beloved. So, what else stood out to you about Skate America in Vegas, Jonathan? Bo Yangxian.
Oh, yeah, that was tough.
Think about how much money China has paid Lori Nickel to try to make him, like, beautiful and presentable.
But you know what? That's not what's holding him back. The damn content.
It's not helping him, but the content
again, Sandra says the program only counts if you've skated it cleanly anyway. He's so far from that ability right now. It seems, I'm sure there's a ton of pressure on him going into Beijing, especially for the team event, which again makes me go back to Yi Christine Yun or whatever from Hong Kong. Now, obviously, I know of all times there's a great deal of tension in that whole situation, but I just don't know why she can't skate for China in the team event.
I don't.
Someone who knows more about those sorts of things may have to tell me.
I don't know.
So,
yeah,
but Boyang is not rising to the occasion.
I thought that China bought one of the U.S. ladies, but I don't know.
I thought Emmy Ma was under discussion.
Is she? They offer a lot of money. I do know that. That's because the U.S. Federation tries to make people pay back any money that they have paid, just to kind of deter from losing skaters. So they play hardball with that too. So
okay.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. But let's talk about Skate Canada, because we do need to preview this field, because as we were talking about, Jonathan, it is no joke this coming week.
I know. Well, you knew because this was pretty light in some areas that the big gun was right around the corner.
So Nam knew it.
Next.
No. Canada and Australia are not where it is. Matteo Rizzo and Hanyu.
Matteo Rizzo, who's been doing very well so far this season. And has kind of a bromance with Aliev. Just saying.
You and that Aliev. And then Andre Lazukin is there, Camden. All right.
Yeah.
Gabby Dillman. Marin Honda, Rika Kihira, Medvedeva, Trusova, Yelim Kim, Young Yu, Paganini, and Bradie Tennell. So that is going to be tough for Bradie, but at least she is in good form.
I think it's Bradie and Medvedeva fighting for that last medal, potentially. Yeah.
I kind of think Bradie. I got pairs, Luba and Charlie, KMT and Michael, Evelyn and Trent, Tang and Yang for China, or Tong and Yang, Boykova and Kozlovsky, that's the Mosquito pair, Taras and Morozov, Kalalang and Johnson again, and then Alexa and Chris. So that is a stacked
this is a big lineup for them. Because Boykova, could come in strong, and you never know what you're going to get from Tarasova and Morozov.
Ice Dance has Gillis and Poirier, Lejoie and Leha. Then you have Popova, Mozgov, Hurtado, Kalyavin, Fear and Gibson doing the Vogue, Green and Parsons, Hawaii and Baker, and Hubbell and Donohue. So This is, look.
That'll be an interesting lineup, won't it?
That will, because Hubbell and Donohue will have quite a lot of time to revamp their programs after this event.
Yeah. But remember that's exactly what happened last season, and they chose not to. But
well, I would hope that they would have learned something from last year rather than...
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see, like, between Hurtado and some of that, like, second group, and Hawaii and Baker, and there was another one you mentioned, and even Fear and Gibson, the kind of those three where they kind of end up falling in line, because they're going to push Hurtado again, I think.
Yeah.
So I still think she's going to be the one that gets the Spanish spots.
Not after that rhythm dance, okay? They will be behind after the rhythm dance if Olivia Smart has her way. It's going to come down to that free dance, I think, this season. Okay. But for Hubbell and Donohue, it's interesting that because ice dance, the scores tend to rise, and because they haven't done as many of the senior Bs, they're getting their feedback on their programs now. But when you do the two programs in the beginning and scores Grand Prix, they sometimes tend to rise throughout the 6 weeks. And they have competed sometimes the first weeks when the scores are lower. And I wonder if that hurts them politically. I don't know. It didn't really make too much of a difference. But the buzz before the final is always a little dicey. And then...
But they could have great buzz if we know they're going to unveil something new. But again, I'm skeptical. They have proven themselves to be a team that digs in their heels, not...
Well, certainly in the packaging situation, they have dug in their heels there. I mean, you have, like that very talented designer from Battle of the Blades, Matthew Carone, who could definitely do something. So, but I think they got to decide. They have to settle in the music before they worry about the costumes.
That's right. Yeah, and we'll see how the judges go with Piper and Paul here. There will be a lot of interesting ice dance placement that goes on.
So what was your moment of the week?
My moment of the... probably, I'll tell you what, I didn't know I was going to like Shcherbakova so much in person. And to see those two quad lutzes back to back, they really were breathtaking in a way.
I really know how to pick a daughter. I really do.
You really do. You really do. And you've loved her for years, long even before her success as a junior.
I know. I picked her out.
Yeah.
Plucked from the orphanage like Anne Patrice, okay? I was like, you will skate. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
how about you?
Her doing that quad lutz triple toe, I think you can hear it. I think you can hear it. And if you can watch it in the replay, you can see. Our section of the audience was really getting into it.
Your gaggle. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was feeling it. I was like, all right, this is where it is at. So we want to know, what was your moment of the week, and how excited did you get about Shcherbakova's quad lutz triple toe? Should she add in the quad toe that we saw years ago? I mean, what is next for her? What was it Terry saying in the Kiss and Cry? Are we going to have 3 quads at the beginning? We can get rid of one of those double axles. Why does Trusova have to have all the quads, all right?
Right. And when are they going to start letting those quads in the short? Do you think it'll be before the Olympics? Because that could be a big game changer for these girls.
They obviously need to, okay? They need to do it for the ratings, for the whole deal. You need to just set it ablaze, okay? Think about how much the public will be buzzing if you can do the quads.
Well, and how much they would be buzzing if there was an inequality that women weren't allowed to even try one in the short.
Oh my God! If Christine Brennan was paying attention to that, she would feel the columns. Oh my God!
Yeah. So she'd pin it on Trump somehow.
Pence. Anyway.
I see what you did there.
We want to know, what was your moment of the week? Should the quads be in the short program? Hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.